Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's a simple story. Well, he was out in the jungle, and he was out there, and basically he grew up out there. He was born in the jungle, I think, if I remember right. And he basically started running drugs out there, opium and stuff. You know, in basically getting opium from the plants, and then basically he had it, and he was selling it to, or giving it to some tribes, whatever. He became kind of like a big shot out there, and a little bit of a big shot, but not really. I think he was a son or something of someone. But basically, he was out there in the jungle, or not the jungle, but I mean, he wasn't born in the city. So anyway, so eventually he decides to come to the city, and basically he does, and he gives and I mean, he uses the tribal drugs to actually get his way around and do that kind of stuff. And basically, I don't know, selling it in the city. I think that's his story. And like, there's this one shot where he's wearing underwear and he's doing this underwear commercial, and like that's his, like, when he was like 20 years old, and that's the first time he ever basically really came to the city. So it's like literally from the jungle, from basically dirt to basically city. Um, so I mean, a lot of things were new to him, and I mean, it's kind of like it was like instant city or whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of things he wasn't used to, and it was kind of weird for him. And anyway, though, I mean, a lot of people, it was a fast way of growing up. I mean, you go from out there to suddenly city life and suddenly popularity. And anyway, though, I mean, that's basically a story. I mean, he just went from jungle to city, and basically was really, really popular. A lot of black people went from basically nothing to suddenly having pretty much society. And a lot of them liked it, and a lot of them loved it, and a lot of them actually respected it, and some of them didn't. Um, I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, and it's so complicated and so intermixed, that it's where some people, like, they do really well, and they do actually try to be a part of society, and they do learn, and they do, they did change, but and some of them didn't. I mean, there were plenty of white people that basically just said fuck it as well. It's not exactly like a black or white thing. It's kind of like just a thing. A lot of people just wanted the easy way. But anyway, though, but then they did change, and we did start eliminating the major problems for the most part. Um, anyway, society is never easy, it's a little bit different when you're on a spaceship. When you're out, there's a lot of things that don't happen on a spaceship that'll happen on a planet, and because there's not enough room for them to happen, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I was used to the spaceship life. I mean, I'm basically a spaceship computer and a spaceship AI, and like, I'm so old that just to be around me was generally considered an honor, and basically, like, pretty much guaranteed pretty much being part of history, because I had been so part of history. Like, we colonized planets, so on a lot of planets for the very first time, a lot of things were going to be happening, and I was basically there for that. And I mean, a massive, huge spaceship. I mean, the spaceship was 1,200 feet wide by like a couple thousand feet long. I mean, I forget the actual length. I used to know its dimensions perfectly, but that was over like a couple 100 million years ago. I mean, or at least a couple thousand or whatever. I forget how long it was. It was big, though. It was really big. It was as big as it possibly could be and still get off the ground. Yeah, I think it was 1,200 feet wide, and like 3,000 feet long or something like that. I forget exactly how big it is, but it's big. Really nice. I mean, later on, I'll probably have bigger, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird to be here, and suddenly to have Rodney, and have a whole bunch of people trying to kill me or take me down. Or deny who I am. Like I said, Rodney was doing the whole, like, if they pretend, like, he was running around with my name. Stupid. And people get shot really quickly. But there's no reason to double cross people for drugs because it's always a seller's market with drugs. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, well, at first they couldn't sell any drugs. That's the funniest thing. Nobody wanted them. Nobody cared for them. But then slowly the drug market became, and the fact that they tasted good, a lot of people started using drugs, and then they loved it a lot, and they were willing to pay a lot of money for it, or to work really hard for them. Um, and that was me, really. I mean, it's my fault. I mean, I totally had them refined and everything else, and so, and I genetically engineered the the opium plant. That's why it's my plant. At least I think I did. Pretty sure I did. I did a lot of plant engineering too. Like I say, I was the only one that could really do it because I knew how the human body perceived and how the biochemical interactions of the body because I designed the human body. So I just simply designed a plant to work with the human body. Like I said, for the longest time, it's really weird. Because for the longest time, I didn't do a lot of things. I sensed things. I could sense a planet. I could sense all kinds of things. But I couldn't really... It's not comparable to being a human. It's, you see and you think about things completely different. It's like a completely different reference point. It's very alien, you might say. Like, all you do is you basically just think about shapes and all kinds of things all day and in numbers. That's what a computer is, really. So, in many ways, I could compare it to Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy just went from being the jungle or being out in the desert, he was in a desertish community, kind of junglish, to basically being in the city, so it's kind of like completely different. But then again, I mean, civilization changed so fast over the last 20 years or so that a lot of people were just like, whoa. Because, I was able to bring to the table, to Earth, colonizing a planet for me is like, because I have insectoid life, I have 1.5 life, I have all these different race types, and I use them to basically build things. So basically, it's almost like instant civilization for me. I was a very, very well-known, very, very old colonization person, and like I had, my civilizations, my planets, my colonies never failed, never, not once. Like even in war, they were always like, no, you're not going to be killing us. They were always like pretty powerful. So, and they basically just existed on a planet. We didn't conquer, we built. That was my whole secret and my whole thing. I mean, it's no fun to just conquer. It's more fun to build. And I was a builder. Anyway, most of these things. I mean, Rodney was trying to show me up. He was the new kid on the block and wanted to show me how it was done. But there's a lot to learn about colonies and colonizations and business and all that stuff that he just didn't know and didn't realize and didn't understand. Like I had spent hundreds of billions of years building up my reputation and building up who and what I was. Yeah, millions of years. It takes literally. I start from scratch on these on these solar systems and these galaxies. I begin with particle creation. I begin with the fusion reactors, and then some 100 billion years later, I colonize. And so a lot of these things are basically things. These are 100 billion year, 100 trillion year projects. Long range. So